Ladies and gentlemen, the birth rate in America since the pandemic has gotten worse. Now, it was already on a decline, and many of us knew this. Especially if you kept up with my videos, you would definitely know this. Well, they said this pandemic is going to be long lasting and it's going to impact the stock market over the next 30 years. So this came out in the Post and Courier, August 17th, 2020, how the 2020 coronavirus pandemic could decimate the birth rate in South Carolina and the US. Y'all, I have to tell y'all. Now, I got cousins that are still having babies. I just don't really talk about that a lot. I know a lot of people are all into, oh, I have this person's having a baby. And I have to tell you, I'm being honest. If this was happening before I had my son, I'm not sure if I would have him. I would be petrified to bring a baby at the time of a pandemic. I know you can't help it. Some of y'all were pregnant before, we all knew about COVID. I'm not talking about that. I think if I had to make a conscious decision to have a baby and this was going on back then, I'm not sure if I would have done it. I don't know. It scares me that because babies are getting it. They are getting it. Some babies are born with it. I've done those stories too. But let me just get into this. While the COVID-19 pandemic continues to claim lives across the state of South Carolina and the rest of the country, public health experts are concerned about the far-reaching implications of the virus and how it may impact the size of our population for decades to come. Precisely, economists predict that the birth rate in the United States will drop, and it has during the wake of the pandemic. The US birth rate was already falling for decades, especially so after the 2008 recession. Last year, the CDC announced that the number of births in the US have fallen to its lowest point in 32 years. Okay, Robert Hartwig, University of South Carolina economist, said the demographics of declining birth rates have been studied for many years. When there is an economic downturn, birth rates decline, he said. This actual phenomena has been documented going back centuries. In fact, he said, it is well documented that both recessions and pandemic typically result in lower birth rates. What we've not experienced previously, at least not in this country, is the two occurring simultaneously. Yeah, you got a recession and a pandemic going on at the same time. There's an expectation that overall across the United States, we will see between 300,000 and 500,000 fewer births in 2021. In South Carolina, the Department of Health and Environmental Control reported fewer than 57,000 infants were born in 2018, compared with a high of 63,077 in 2008. This decline has been measured even as the population of the state has grown substantially from 4.5 million in 2008 to more than 5 million in 2018, according to the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Center for Health Statistics. These trends aren't unique to South Carolina, according to the 2010 report by the Pew Research Center. There is a strong association between the magnitude of fertility change in 2008 across states and key economic indicators, including changes in per capita income housing prices, and a share of the working age population that is employed across states. A lower birth rate over time presents troubling economic problems. Countries must maintain an economically viable ratio of working adults to elderly adults. Younger adults, Hartwig explained, largely drive the economy. They're entrepreneurs, they create jobs, and they drive economic demand. They also pay the lion's share of the country's taxes, including funding for safety net programs such as Medicare and Social Security. Japan, for example, he said, has been virtually in a state of no growth for 20 years. A low birth rate may not impact South Carolina as severely as other states, even if the number of births continue to decrease. Americans from other parts of the country continue to move into the state as the pandemic prompts people in large cities to move to smaller states. States like South Carolina are going to be a beneficiary of that. It remains unknown exactly how much the pandemic will impact the number of children born in South Carolina next year. Leslie Rathbun, a certified nurse midwife who owns Charleston Birthplace in Mount Pleasant, said she has not noticed a drop in patients seeking prenatal care this year, but she has fielded calls from several patients asking if it was safe to become pregnant during the pandemic. Wow. The number of hospital births in South Carolina fluctuates throughout the year. South Carolina Birth Outcome Initiative explained that any impact the coronavirus has on the number of births in the state won't be known until next quarter. Okay, so the next quarter of the year. Okay. Some South Carolina midwives are concerned about proposed regulations for demand for home birth rises. Well, I don't blame people for trying to stay out of the hospital, you know, and you can have birth, give birth to your child at home. It's legal. So I can see a lot of people taking advantage of having a midwife and giving birth at home. But like I said, the birth rate was already on a sharp decline even before the pandemic. I can imagine how bad it really truly is going to be during this time, as long as, there's no cure for this thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. People are still giving birth in my family, and I know True Royal was talking about some of the people in her family. I know many of you have had babies, and this is not really impacting us as much in the Black community, but it is impacting other communities for sure. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.